Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Molly, and today I am going to be talking about writing. If you follow me on Twitter, you should know, or you probably know, that I did some bunch of outlining this past weekend. I guess since this video will be up, it'll be 2 weekends ago. I have started now. I've outlined 2 books. I'm still working on the sequel to my fantasy because I just want to make sure that I have everything outlined before I really get into the story so there are no plot holes. But I just want to talk about my experience so far with the writing process and how I outlined the books and vague stuff about the books because, you know, you don't really want to give away too much about what you're writing so that other people don't steal your book idea. We gotta be careful with our ideas. I guess first I'll start with my fantasy since that is the first book that I decided I wanted to write. The way I've been brainstorming and outlining the book, so far I have written everything in the journals. I've started with this journal and then I didn't like the way I had formatted it. I saw this on Pinterest where, you know, you get the index and you label all the pages, but you're only supposed to label like page 1, page 2. I didn't do that. I did page 1, page 2. And so I was all screwed up after that. And then, but I have like the brainstorm, and you're not supposed to like delete anything. So you're supposed to write in pen so that you can't like erase anything and then be like later, oh, I kind of actually wanted that, but I don't remember exactly what that was. And the fact that it's just, there's a lot of names in here that are not the names of my characters, but they were originally going to be the names of my characters because originally it was going to be like a historical fantasy fiction where it took place in like the Renaissance time in like Italy, and so I was like looking up Italian names, but it didn't start out that way. I was just like, let's just do these random names. But then I decided that making it a historical fiction was too much work. I decided against that. It just bothers me seeing all the names that aren't my characters. So yeah, but I did add in a page for the name changes, but you know, it just didn't work out to my liking. And then I have all the character sheets, a bunch of character sheets, info, kind of the outline, but it was like back when it wasn't good. And then halfway through I have like stuff for the sequel, and then it was originally going to be a trilogy, but then I was like, there's not enough going on in either. I don't have enough ideas for either the second or the third book to make it a trilogy, so it's going to be a duology. That is what I have decided. It's going to be a duology. And now I have everything in this journal, which is more to my liking. You know, it's numbered right. Everything's written a lot neater. There's not as much stuff in the brainstorm because I didn't feel like rewriting it all because I did actually have a lot of it internalized. But I have, you know, all my character sheets rewritten, so like they have the right names and everything is in here. And then, yeah, most of it's the same, just better. But I did know a lot of it because, so I don't know if anyone else does this, but before, I don't really do it anymore now because I've gone over this story like so much that like the entire first book I know, but like by heart basically. I usually, when I go to sleep, prefer, instead of letting my thoughts run wild, to concentrate my thoughts into a story or some adventurous action or whatever, you know? So like in high school I had this fantasy novel with dragons in it, and that's what I would fantasize about before I went to bed, you know, make the story up. But I didn't have a lot going on for that story. It was real dumb. Ooh. Some of the stuff was real dumb. Real dumb. Anyway. And then 2 years ago, I randomly was just like, I'm done with this story, so I made a new story. And it turned into this novel. And you know how a lot of people are like, oh, I dreamt it, or like something, they saw something and it like, whoa, this is a novel, like, this is a good idea for a novel. I've had other moments like that, but not with this book. This book was all like, I just made it. I don't know how it happened, but it did. So for like a whole year, I had internalized the story, basically. Been playing it in my head as I changing it and playing it and giving the characters different names, you know, not the names they have now. And then I was just like, you know what? I should start like keeping track of this and like writing it. So then last June, I started the book journal where I was brainstorming it and writing the character sheets and everything. And now that's been almost a year. And there had been breaks in between every now and then where I was just like uninspired and like, oh, I'll pick it up later. I shouldn't be writing it right now. I don't know. Anyway, and then I was reading a book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, and the way she views ideas and like inspiration is that it chooses you, and if you're not ready for that idea, it could wait. It's a possibility it'll wait for you, but it's very unlikely that it will, and it'll just move on to someone else. So then, you know, that idea that you had, you thought it was really good, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's like not there anymore because you decided you weren't going to work on it right now. So now all your inspiration for it's gone. Just like the whole story is like, I don't even know. Like I can't get inspired back again for that story. So it's just gone. And really crazy thing, a friend of hers actually ended up writing the book that she was gonna write, but she had lost inspiration for. Like she had taken like a 3-year break or something, or a full year break, because life was happening to her. And then a good friend of hers, who's also a writer, was telling her about this book she was writing, and she was like, that is the exact same book I was gonna write. And reading that, I was like, I'm not letting this book get away from me. I'm not letting this idea go. Like, no. I'm writing, like, this is my book. I created it. I need to write this book. So I was like, Molly, we gotta get our ish together and work on it. So then I decided out. So then I was more inspired, and I started working on character sheets more because I didn't have all of them fully done. So I was working on that more, working on more of the brainstorming and being like, okay, what can happen in the second book to make it better than the bare minimum we have right now. And I was still said, I was like, I need to work on this. And then last Friday, I fully outlined the first book, which you can see here is my outline. This is what I have for the second book right now. Not a whole lot going on. This is what I have for the first book. Quite a bit going on. So I really like the note card method because you write everything out on the note cards. I started out with the big plot points that I knew I wanted to happen. You know, like the climax and the ending, you know, fight scenes and big romance stuff that happens. So I wrote all that out, and then I laid them out, and then I also wrote in some other things that I knew I wanted to happen, but, you know, weren't as big a plot point as the other things. And then I separated all that into chapters, and then I kept reworking the chapters and adding more stuff in and being like, okay, this needs to happen here, and oh, there needs to be a break in between this big scene and this big scene, because big scenes don't happen chapter, like the next chapter after something just happened. So I was like, okay, there needs to be a break here. But we don't know exactly what that break is. We just know that there's gonna be a break in between stuff that happens. Hopefully it comes to me. I would suggest the note card or post-it method, just so if you're as visual as me, like I like to see everything all at once. I do not like to use the computer for a lot of things because you can only see so much of what you've written, of what you have outlined on a computer screen. So I prefer the note card method so I can easily like look at everything and not have to copy and paste if I need to move it. So 10 out of 10 would recommend this method. It's worked well for me. I spent an hour on the floor in my room right over there. Right there. You can't see the spot. It's right there. Right in front of my regular filming spot, which is right there. I spent an hour on the floor doing this in the middle of the night because I was like, I need it done and I need to do it now. And then the next day, my best friend came over and we worked on the novel I had suggested to her we do. So when I presented to her with my fantasy novel, she helped me come up with some better ideas and tell me like what was good about it, and you know, we just bounce off each other really well and we create ideas that work really well. Like, we're a good team. And this is a really funny thing how this idea happened. But I was reading Eve the Awakening by Jenna Morassi, which is a sci-fi novel. And I don't even know what scene I was reading, but I was reading it. And I all of a sudden just had this idea. I was like, this would be a good horror novel. So I had an idea for a horror novel, which is weird to have during a sci-fi novel. Weird. I don't even know. I then texted my best friend saying, you know how we like kind of entertain the idea of writing a book together? Do you actually want to do that? She's like, yeah, what's the book idea? And so I told her about the horror novel idea. And she was like, I like it. So then she came over Saturday and we worked on it. And this is the outline for that. We use the same outline process because I just find it really easy. And she almost like wanted to start writing before we had an outline, and I was like, Victoria, slow your roll. We need an outline because we can't just wing it, because I don't like to be a pantser. I like to be a plotter with pantser tendencies. You know, like not super detailed outlines, but like detailed enough that you have like a very clear idea of where your story is going, and you can't just go off on a tangent and be like, oh, this is nice. This could work, you know, let's just do this. Because I would rather spend a lot less time in the revision phase and like having to cut a bunch of scenes out than when I could have just had an outline and I can refer to that whenever I'm writing. But we got so much done in just the one night. We got a lot of research done, which most of it, like, she was already really interested in the subject that we are writing our novel on, and she already knew a lot, so it wasn't that much research. And so we had to do like a little bit of that, and then we did brainstorming and character sheets and then outlining. We did all of that in like one night, and I'm so impressed with us. And this one I don't have a journal because it's for both of us, so we have a Google Doc for it, which is fine because it's not the outline. And she does have the outline too. She's taken pictures of it. She has it. I'm not being selfish and I don't just have it. And the way we're gonna do this is pretty much just one person writes a chapter, the other person writes a chapter, and so she'll write the first chapter and I'll go over it, make any suggestions or edits, and then I'll write the second chapter. She will go over and make any suggestions or edits. There's a chapter in here we were like, we definitely need to write that together because it's a big part of the story, and I'm just really excited about these novels. I can't say which one I like more because I like them both for very different reasons. I really like the horror novel because I'm writing it with my best friend, and so I have like someone to be excited with and like share all of the story and like brainstorming with, and I don't feel like I can't share any of it with someone. Because with my fantasy, I feel like I can't really share it all because I don't want it. Like, obviously I would share it with her because she's not going to steal it. Not a horrible person. She would steal her best friend's novel. But then again, I want it to be a surprise for when she is one of my people that I send it out to, me like, hey, would you like to read this before I like send it to a professional edit and give me suggestions, and like I want her to be surprised when she reads it. Like, I don't want her to know everything and then be like, wow, I mean, I knew what was gonna happen, so it was pretty predictable, but I think it was still good. Like, I just want her to have the full experience of reading the novel, even though she does know a lot of what's happening. But I just wanted her to be like more surprised about what is happening. But I like my fantasy novel because it's mine and mine alone, and I've come up with everything on my own, pretty much. She helped a little. But it's like my baby, it's mine to edit and do with what I will. So, and like I've had this idea for years. And, you know, they're both, I'm really excited about both, and I'm really glad that I made that discussion video I did a couple weeks ago, because everyone was very helpful who commented on that video and saying that I should write the books that inspire me and that I'm excited to write and want to spend my time writing, because I'm really excited about both of these novels, especially now that like they're both outlined and like ready to be worked on. And I don't feel like I should be trying to work on one or the other more, like to get my like name out there in a certain genre. But I'm also glad that I'm doing two completely different genres at the beginning of my writing state, you know, like the beginning of my writing life, because then it'll be less of a shock when I write something else. You know, maybe I write a contemporary and it's less of a shock because I've already written a fantasy and a horror. Maybe, you know, I'll write a sci-fi. Like, I don't know. At this point, like now that I have like two completely separate, very different storylines, I also feel like I can write whatever I want, because I'm starting out with such opposite storylines that people would accept and be okay with whatever I wrote, I guess. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe down below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!